what America was and what it can become. This is Liberty Town Hall.
Glad to have you here today on Liberty Town Hall. He's Glenn Wilson. I'm Greg Marshall. Appreciate you spending some time with us today. We're going to have a really good conversation today, and particularly we're going to be talking about your diet. And no, Rachel Ray's not going to walk out in a few minutes or have any fun, and no, we're not going to shout bam. It's a whole different kind of conversation today. Mainly what we're going to be talking about is probably no matter what you eat, your diet, even if it's healthy, may be killing you. What are we talking about by that? You want to talk about liberty and issues. One of the ultimates is, can we keep ourselves healthy? And I'm not so sure with what's going on, Glenn Wilson, today that we can do that.
This interview points out very clearly that we have to be very careful of what we're shopping for. There has been so much genetic modification to our food system and our food supply as a whole that we don't know necessarily what is in those seeds that are growing our crops. One of the big things is it's a locked-in system too, Greg, where you have to buy your seeds from company ABC because the crop you planted last year, when it grows, you can't harvest those and take a certain amount of seeds to plant again for next year like we used to.
Yep, hybrid seeds don't reproduce themselves.
They don't reproduce. So when you go get your seeds, you have a one-generation seed ability. Well, that keeps you trapped over here. So you can see a consolidation of power where it actually draws all the power of the world's food supply into a very few hands. That should have us all concerned. And then when you take that and you add it to the fact what other modifications are being made in there to get these massive ears of corn versus a normal ear of corn that would normally be grown, what are all those changes doing to our bodies? So even though you think you're eating healthy, if you don't find out the source of that food and track it down, you very well may be eating stuff that will cause more harm than good.
You know, the frightening thing is we have to sit and actually get in trouble for asking that question. In Europe, you can't sell genetically modified food. GMO stuff is not allowed to be even sold there or grown there. They won't eat the stuff because they don't know enough about it, and they're afraid of what they're going to be ingesting into their body. But yet here in America, we can't even put a label on the food and saying what it is and what it isn't.
We have a blind trust inherent in us that says, you know what, if it's on our grocery store shelf, we're going to trust it. If it's a big company that's making the seeds and everybody's using them, it must be trustworthy. It's like saying a drug is FDIC or Food and Drug Administration has approved it. Yeah, sorry about the
no,
but
all right.
Too many alphabet soups out there. So, as long as they have approved it, it's all good to go.
Yep.
Well, that's not true.
No.
I mean, a lot of times things get submitted and they get like a temporary pass to use it until such time as they have a chance to look into it or other sets of experts get into it. And we need to step back and say, maybe they haven't looked. Maybe they haven't looked deep enough. We shouldn't be so blindly trusting. I think that's what this points out.
Oh, I think of Missouri being the show me state. And you better start showing me, and we better start insisting on it. Thanks for being here. We'll continue. Good interview to come at Liberty Town Hall.
And welcome back to Liberty Town Hall. We're joined today by Barry Ferguson. Barry has wrote a book on our food system and the foods we eat. Barry, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be on here.
What is the book that you wrote on food explicitly about? What's it about in the food? Why did you write it, I guess?
It's called Warning Your Healthy Diet May Be Killing You. And it's basically an expose on what's happening to our food system, what's happening to the food we eat, and who's in charge of our food.
So it's from beginning to end is what the book covers, the whole process of growing the food all the way through the grocery store?
Well, basically, it's really an expose. It's what happened. I got sick 6 years ago, and it was my journey to find out why I got sick. So I decided to write a book about that journey and expose all the things that are happening to our food.
So you got sick based on the food you were eating, or was it the foods that you ate helped you get better from a sickness that you got? Is it cause and effect?
Actually, I got sick from the food that I was eating. I was told that certain foods were good for us, and especially by my doctor. and my cholesterol level was actually the one that got me sick. I was up to over 500.
So
And I
your
was told I would have
cholesterol,
heart disease and I could have a heart attack.
so the foods you were eating were driving up your cholesterol, so therefore the food you eat can lower your cholesterol. Would make sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's really happening to our food?
Well, we're being told one thing by the FDA and the agriculture, the USDA, but what we're actually eating is not what is good for us.
What do you mean? I like broccoli. I like green beans. I like corn. I like a nice piece of meat. What part of our foods is not good?
Well, you brought up two things right there. Corn. Most of the corn, almost 90% of the corn that's made in the United States is genetically modified.
What do you mean genetically modified?
Well, what they do is they take the genes from the Roundup, which is an herbicide, and they put them into the corn themselves. So when the corn is grown, it will kill all the surrounding weeds.
Okay. Is there a conspiracy revolved around this? I mean, why doesn't everybody know it? I mean, I hear in certain circles that there's a food conspiracy going on, and then I stop to think to myself, why? Why would there be a conspiracy about our food? What's the problem? If they're making our corn better for us?
Well, let me give you a quote from Henry Kissinger back in 1970. He said that if you control oil, you can control nations. But if you control food, you control the world. And right now, Monsanto wants to control the world through the use of the seeds and the food that we eat.
So is it being sabotaged or what?
Yes, we're being totally sabotaged. They're taking the food that we eat and they want total control over everything that we eat, everything that we grow, whether it's grown on our own property or it's grown by the large food growers.
Well, our Midwest especially has some of the richest producing ground on the globe. We control most of the food supply right here in America, right?
Yes.
So I don't understand how that's a problem. Who's controlling it?
Monsanto basically owns the FDA. The head of the FDA is the former vice president of Monsanto. So they make all the rules. Now, in 2009, when Obama became president, they put in the Food Modernization Act, which gave the FDA full power to decide what is healthy and what isn't. And this has hurt the small farmers. It's actually better for the large industrial growers.
But is our food being changed in a way that should concern us, or just who grows it?
In the way it changes us. It's not healthy at all. There's too many chemicals. Monsanto has put in a program which they spend millions of dollars to try to make sure that we don't know about these things.
Like what chemicals? I mean, corn's corn, right? I mean, is it the fertilizers or is it the pesticides?
All the genetically modified. These are all synthetic chemicals that are being used, and our bodies can't take these chemicals. And there have been studies done on rats and different animals, and these genetically modified organisms have done terrible things to the bodies of these animals. In fact, after second generation, they can no longer reproduce. And we're eating the same foods that they were feeding these in the studies.
So if I just went and got a bag of seed corn, planted it in my yard, and took the seeds next year, planted it again, and took care of it right here, is that an example of how to do healthy food, or do you got some other examples?
Yeah, you'd have to get heirloom seeds. You wouldn't be able to buy the seeds from Monsanto because every year you'd have to buy brand new seeds.
I'm sorry, I don't understand why. They prevent the seeds from reproducing?
Yes. This way they can control the seeds, and they can control how much you pay for them, and the fact that you have to pay for them every year.
We have to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more on our food supply when we return. Welcome back to Liberty Town Hall. We're discussing how healthy food may actually be killing you. Barry, I'd like to ask, could you give some examples of some healthy foods for us?
Well, there's a couple of foods that they have pushed on America and told us that are healthy. One of them is soy. Now, soy, because of the estrogen level, especially for women, it causes breast cancer. For men, it causes prostate cancer. And also, for everyone else, a thyroid condition, it can cause cancer.
So,
this is one of the foods that's in almost 90% of our processed foods.
So soy sauce on my stir fry wouldn't necessarily be your first choice, right?
No.
Okay, what would be some good foods to go with?
Well, the best way to pick out your foods, you got to make sure they're organic. And the best foods, there are considered superfoods. We stick to fruits and vegetables are your best bet. But also, if you want to go for meat and things like beef and chicken, to be grass-fed. Now, most of the food that you buy in supermarkets, most of that beef and most of that chicken are grain-fed. Now, the grains that they feed these animals are corn, and that corn is genetically modified. So it's going through the animal. You eat the animal, you get the genetically modified organism in your body.
So, if our viewers went to the grocery store to go shopping for their food, what explicitly should they look for? Organically grown, that was one thing. Is there anything else that's indicators? Because I go to a lot of grocery stores and they don't have an organic food section.
Well, the best place to shop in the supermarket is the outside of the aisles of the store, where all the fresh produce, fresh meat, and things like that are. As you go into the store, into the middle of the store, that's where the unhealthy foods are, the canned foods, the bagged foods, and the processed foods.
So although these are grown from genetically modified seeds, if you can buy the fresh produce, even though it's not organically grown, then you're still better off there?
Yeah, most of the food that they do put on the outside of your fresh produce isn't genetically modified. It's what you start looking at canned food, when you start looking at some of the frozen food, because genetically modified food does not have to be listed on the ingredients.
Well, Barry, the economy is hitting home in so many ways to everybody, and food costs are rising constantly. Is it actually cost more, or is there a way to save money and eat healthy at the same time?
Well, because of the healthcare costs, it actually costs less to eat organic than it does not to. The reason why is you're going to be eating better, it's better for your system, and you won't be visiting the doctor as often. You won't come down with allergies. You won't be getting sick all the time. So you'll actually save money from doctor visits, and the problems that you have can be cleared up through organic food.
So even though if you pay a little bit more for your food up front, it's going to save you really in the long run from all these other expenses down the line.
Yeah, you'll reap the benefits later on.
So eating
with a
healthy
healthier skin, healthier body, yes.
Right. There's a lot of myths. What's some of the myths concerning organic or eating healthy food, or what's some of the myths you've heard about our diets out there?
Well, they try to push on the low-fat, healthy lifestyle, and that actually is one of the biggest myths. 40 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, they pushed on the low-fat oils on us, the cooking oils, which were all omega-6 type of oils, like the corn oil, the vegetable oils, and the canola oils. But they're all genetically modified also. And what they did was they stopped using the coconut oils, like the virgin coconut oils and the palm oils, which have omega-3s but are much better for us. And one of these, the problems that using these leads to people getting sick, people getting fat. The obesity has gone up almost 30% in this country over the past 30 years. And these type of low-fat foods actually promote obesity.
If I had corn oil that was grown from organically grown corn, would that be okay?
That's better, yes.
Okay.
But it's very hard. Most of the places do not sell organic corn oil. It's all basically coming from the genetic modified foods.
Barry, I take it you've done a lot of homework in the last 6 years. Have you gotten healthier because you've tracked down your food? I mean, has it worked for you?
Oh yes, my cholesterol level is at 175. It's gone way down. I feel much better. When I was eating these foods, my face would break out. I was listless. I have a lot of allergies back then. Now most of my allergies are gone. I feel much better. I get to sleep better. I don't get sick as often. And my family is the same way. You know, I have 3 children, and their health is the most important to me. In fact, my son just went off to college, and him learning the same things that I have learned, and me teaching him, has helped him in college right now, what he's eating.
Barry, how can our viewers get a hold of you if they want to get a copy of your book?
Well, you can find it at my website. I can give you the web address. It's www.yourhealthydiet-is-killing-you.com/recommend/health saver. And you can also find it at Amazon.com.
So Amazon, you can get a copy of your book. And what was the name of your
Yes,
book again?
also,
So they're looking for the title?
yes. It's also in the Kindle edition as well as a hard soft cover edition.
Well, Barry, thank you for pointing out some of the concerns with our food. Genetically modifying our seeds so that they can't reproduce, that kind of puts us in a very dependent state on new seeds being produced every year for our following crop. When before you used to just reserve a certain amount of your harvest one year to plant it again for the following year. That's kind of changed our way of thinking in our food sources. Barry, thank you for joining us.
Way we've done everything. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Hope you can continue having a healthy lifestyle. God bless. Have a good day, sir.
You too.
And we'll be right back with more Liberty Town Hall after these messages.
Welcome back to Liberty Town Hall, and I've got to tell you, Glenn, there are some interviews that you listen to, and you know what we're talking about as we're having this conversation with Glenn, that is just terrifying when you really listen into the details of what's being said. This is one that I don't want to listen to again, but I would recommend everybody go to Liberty Town Hall and listen twice, because what a story that Barry Ferguson has
Listen to the nuances, the little things that are in there, because...
And there's a million of them.
Right.
He didn't even get to all of them.
There was so much time we're trying to cram down into short segments here, but if you listen, our genetic structure of all of our food in this country, and a good portion around the world, is being manipulated to the point where we're so dependent on the next crop of food. What happens if a seed company decides back and say, hey, you know what, let's just hold the seeds off this year. I don't need the income right now. I can make it a whole year. And next year, we're going to quadruple the price of it. We're going to make these people beg for these seeds. And I can hand them out just a little bit at a time, because those seeds won't reproduce anyway. I know they have to come back. And they literally can control the world's food supply by the seed, by the actual seed.
Yep.
You know, and then if you look at the genetic modifications that they make to the food to get a bigger crop, a more abundance crop, okay? Mm-hmm. Well, what's that really doing to the quality of the food itself? What side effects are being picked up that we're not paying attention to? This isn't just paranoid thinking. These are real facts that are going on with our food supply, Greg.
Glenn, your concerns are valid, and everybody should be right in line with you on that. And here's the thing. When you hear us talking about something like this or other things here at Liberty Town Hall, I really hope that you'll check it out for yourself. It's one thing for us to tell you something. You don't know us. You've gotten to know us some by watching the program, but it's not like an interpersonal relationship. So you need to check things out for yourself. Some people just tell you stuff and expect you to believe it. We're telling you stuff and asking you to look it up. I mean, truly, when they say we're in the age of information, we are. First off, I want you to go back and check this out again at libertytownhall.com. You can watch this episode again. You really need to get the details. But the next one is, take some of the phrases that you hear, some of the things you question about, get your favorite search engine and go take a look for yourself. It's so easy. Or go to the library and do it. Or have a friend help you out if you're not computer savvy. It's so easy nowadays to get information. Don't just sit there and question what we're doing or not be sure.
It's absolutely true. We can't trust the media sources that we're being presented with, presented every day. And if somebody can enlighten and share knowledge with us we may have wrong, or tell us things that we're not even addressing, and they have issues that we need to bring to the forefront. You're our research. You guys are the ones that bring these stories that concern you in every town. We need that participation, that two-way. Double check everything we say. It's huge importance that we get to the facts regardless of anyone's egos.
And also be sure to contact us if there's story ideas that you want us to talk about. Please, our contact information is at libertytownhall.com. Thanks for watching today. This has been Liberty Town Hall.
If ye love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude than the animated contest of freedom, go from us in peace. We ask not your counsels or arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chains sit lightly upon you, and may posterity forget you were our countrymen. Samuel Adams, 1776.